All right, what's up, everybody? Hey, today I'm joined by Dr. Andrew Wells, my good buddy, and actually the guy who back, I don't know, like a year and a half ago, taught us an entire process from getting leads to day one to day two to all that kind of cool stuff, and gave it away for free, notes, scripts, all that kind of stuff, like a year and a half ago. And he's here to help us. So thanks, Andrew, for coming, buddy.
Great to be here.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get right to it. The reason I wanted to make this video is all around offers. Okay. Why use an offer and how to use them without the perception of the services that you provide are, maybe cheaper or shouldn't be valued as somebody who says that they don't offer different types of offers. So that's the framework. And not only do I want to start with that, I want to show you that not only can you use them in a really good way, but you can blow up your clinic in a controllable way. Meaning, if you need to if you say, hey, we want to increase visits from 100 visits a week to 150 to 200, there's no question marks. You know how to do it. You know the mechanisms and the knobs to turn. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about. And again, not only did Andrew share a lot of the protocols for day one, day two, a year and a half ago, but Andrew has some very specific experience with this that I've asked him to share. And of course, I mean, Andrew, you're a give all kind of guy. I like that about you.
Does that make me cheap? Am I undervalued?
Oh man,
this is what we're all talking about right here.
Oh, that's hilarious.
This is actually an interesting question you asked there, right? Because hey, why are you giving away free stuff? This is actually what we're talking about. And so I know in my head, I may do 2, 3, 4, 5 videos like this for Sam or for other people, just giving away cool stuff for free. And I know at some point, call it the law of the universe, the law of reciprocity, the law of good karma, this stuff comes back on me at some point. And that's just how the world works. And so it's kind of a good way to kind of kick off this topic.
Right. I want to start out really quick. I want to frame out what we're actually doing here with offers. Okay. You can use your offers. You can blow it up. There's a case study here. I'll actually tag it. If this is on YouTube, I'll tag it, but there's a case study where a doctor during the pandemic grew his practice from 80 visits a week to over 200. He did it in 2.5 months. And he did it because he learned how to tweak one knob. Now, if I were to go back, I think a lot of people have heard this case study / lab experiment that they did called the marshmallow experiment. Have you heard this, Andrew?
Yeah. And you reminded me of it. I'm doing it on my 2 boys tonight.
Oh no. So here's the premise. So, and if you've heard this, just give me 1 minute and I'll share. If you haven't, you'll be blown away by what they learned by doing a test that involved marshmallows and children. So what they did was they got a group of kids and they brought them into a room by themselves. And they said, hey, this is a marshmallow. You like marshmallows. They're sweet. They're amazing. You love marshmallows, right? Oh, yes, we love marshmallows. Well, here is the situation. This marshmallow right here, this is for you. Okay. You don't got to do anything for it. You can eat it right now. However, if you can wait 1 hour, we're going to give you 2 marshmallows. Okay. And the kids were and they have video of this because they've repeated this study. They have video. The kids are just oh man, can I do this? And it's very humorous, right? But it's also very telling about the way human psychology works. I don't remember what the exact statistics were, but something like 80 to 90% of those children could not wait the hour. Okay. But the follow-up piece to that is, now this was done a while ago. The follow-up piece of that is they actually follow these children in their lives and the outcomes and things like that. And they found that the people who were able to delay their gratification had incredibly, almost unanimously too, had very successful lives financially, maritally, everything, their families were great. And the people who could not, fell into different struggles in life, not as a black and white rule, but as an overall finding, which I find very, very interesting. And I share that because it is the framework that impedes, that stops, it's this behavior, I should say, that stops a lot of doctors, a lot of, practice owners from being able to look at an offer and understand its very nature. Okay. And its very nature is not to convert in the second that you get a lead into a high ticket sale. That's not its nature. Okay. That's like playing checkers. It is to make a move that sets up a really big move and the move that helps you win. Okay. So chess, not checkers. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and in this video right now, I'm going to layer over some B-roll of the different offers that we have in Patient Stream. One of our most popular offers is our sciatica decompression offer. And the sciatica decompression offer, obviously it focuses on the condition that is sciatica. Okay, so back pain, low back pain. This is a very common condition. And what we offer in that particular lead generation campaign is the typical things, evaluation, report of findings, diagnostics. Some people offer x-rays and things like that. Some do not, which is fine. But then the big thing is a new way to solve sciatica pain, which in this case happens to be spinal decompression. Okay. Spinal traction can also be, involved in that. Like you can transpose the offer to do the same effective thing. But the idea is we're going to offer some kind of treatment. Now, there's a cost associated with it. Okay. We actually call it price thresholding. We want to make sure that the price is at a level to where we're not going to get, what Russell Brunson calls cheeseburger traffic. We want to get people who are qualified. Okay. So there's a price associated with it, but we are in effect giving away treatment without I would say free. Okay. So this is the framework of this particular offer. Now, again, we're going to go over this, but Andrew, from your experience working with private practice owners, both chiropractors and integrated clinics and everything else, what have you seen? Have you seen kickback or any type of ideas around using offers like this?
Yeah, the number one kickback I get stems from really chiropractors having a imposter syndrome as a whole, as a profession, especially coming out of school. Doctors like, hey, I don't know if I feel like a doctor. We don't get the respect that we deserve from other doctors. And so a lot of chiropractors suffer with imposter syndrome. So what happens is we end up giving away a lot of stuff undervalued or for free because we're like, we're not that worth as much as the doctor over here. Now, I should say some doctors don't have that problem at all, but this is actually where it stems from. So what happened is doctors start to lower their fees, cheapen what they do. And so there's a huge wave of consultants and practice managers are saying, look, don't do that. You're valuable. The adjustment that you give is very valuable. It's worth it. It's worth a lot of money. So stop giving it away for free. And so this is a direct antagonist to what marketers are saying is like, no, we're not saying give everything away for free. Don't cheapen the whole thing, but give them a taste. Give them a taste of something. And that's where I think that's where docs sometimes have some confusion. It's like, no, I was told don't give it away for free. Don't cheapen it. That's not what Sam's talking about. Give them a taste, and the back end, what they're going to get later on, that stuff should be full value, high value, and you should be paid for what you're worth for those services.
That's right. It's not about proposing marriage, right? So when people value your service, well, how do you ever value anything? Well, first you have to become aware of it. Second, you have to believe and think, interested, and then believe in its in its application to you, or believe that it's a solution that would work for you. Okay. And so your practice is surrounded by tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and depending where you live, sometimes millions of people who have different thoughts and experiences with practices like yours. And so for you to think that, oh, these people already, know, totally believe in what we do, that they've already gone through this journey, that they're fully educated is a little bit ignorant. And quite frankly, it's the thing that really keeps you from bringing in as many how many new patients do you want? Which, by the way, if you ask for marketing, that insinuates that you need new patients. Okay. So I think we might, I tend to get on a soapbox with some of these things. And it's only because when I see things that are about to take off for a clinic and then they're like, oh, this isn't working. I'm like, why? What do I need to do? What do I need to do? Which is why we're here today. Okay. So, Andrew, I want you to, because you went through this in a way in your own practice, right? Meaning you started getting Facebook leads years ago. You shared this in our day one, day two, a while back. You started doing that, and it wasn't like boom, all of a sudden you found the Holy Grail. It was a process. So maybe give me your backstory, your origin story, as it relates to using offers like these to grow your practice.
So really, it really is. I don't know if this directly answers your question, but I always knew if we could just get people to come in and have some experience and just see who we are and what we do, we knew that our customer service and our patient experience was going to be so overwhelming to the patient that they would not only want to stick around, but they would never ever go anywhere else because we set the bar so high. So the challenge with that is, well, how do we make it as easy as possible for patients to come in the door? And what we do by that is just eliminate. We were realizing it's like, so here's the school of thought, like, well, I know what docs think. It's like, well, if we charge prepay, like if you prepay for the appointment, like $50 an appointment, that means that they're really serious about coming in and they will come in. And sometimes that's true, right? The other school of thought is, well, maybe I'll do it for free and make it really easy for them to come in. And then it's like, well, that they're not committed and sometimes they don't show up. I'll argue that both things work. But like we figured out, like, what is the carrot? What's the thing that we could dangle that's unique from everybody else that would make it so obvious that I want to come to this practice and not another practice down the road. So you can do that. Like, it's kind of like we're baiting people with really easy, like removing risk, giving them easy wins, like easy, like, hey, try it for free. See how, some kind of like guarantee, like lose 4 pounds in the first day or something like that. Like all those things are like, wow, yeah, I've like, if they can promise results and there's no risk to me, why would I not do that? Versus another type of office doing the exact same thing with no offer, whatever, or like come in for a free consultation, like what everybody does, right? Everybody has a free consultation. Patients don't see that, like they don't say like, oh my gosh, I can get a free consultation if I go there. Yes, like every medical office does that. Does that answer your question?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right. Every location, a consultation is not an offer, right? So, specifically, I remember that in your clinic, you guys had a very proven way to get leads and boom, get patients. And yes, you did. I mean, we talked a lot about the environment, like what it should be like say hello, give people a VIP experience. I remember you share your story about the Ritz-Carlton and they, really curtailed to your boys, and that gave you that experience, and you in turn put that into effect at your practice. So you're absolutely right. But I think just overall, there was a time where you had to figure out how to use, like where it doesn't just fall in your lap, like where you had to say, well, okay, well, we're getting people interested for some reason. What can we do? Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, and I think that's where a lot of docs live. They're like, okay, well, there's enough. And they default to this thing where it's like, well, the lead quality is bad. Well, no, the lead quality is not bad. Okay. It's just the next thing is broken. Right. And that's what we really need to help doctors understand is what is the next thing. Okay. So go ahead.
Can I use an example here? This just recently happened. We had a cat die in our family. And so my wife's like devastated, and she goes looking around for a new cat to replace our old cat. And she found these 2 cats that had been found in a barn in like the middle of the country. These are some very country cats. When we picked them up, one of them had a John Deere hat on, and the other one had a mullet and a little piece of they were country. And I'm like, these cats, they're going to have problems. They're going to have health problems. Well, it's like, okay, well, my wife's solution is, well, there's a vet in town who gives their first visit, exam, and everything for free. I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, problem solved. And so we went in, took the cats in, had an exam. They're like, yeah, they're, this one had an eye infection. Like, they're pretty beat up country cats. And so all this stuff was for free. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Like, we just saved like $200. It was awesome. So we take the cats home, and one of them we found out when, excuse me for being crude, went to the bathroom in the litter box, and there was it was diarrhea and blood. And I'm like, like, I know there's, these country cats, like they probably have a parasite or something. So guess where my wife took that cat?
Exactly.
And my thought was, like, to the vet, I'm like, gotcha. Like, we got everything for free. Like, and we don't, like, we're kind of like with our cats, like, we don't go to the doctor. Like, we don't go for vaccines and regular checkups and stuff like that. Same thing for our cats. Like, we don't take our cats in for vaccines and checkups. But so I'm thinking, like, man, I got a good one over on the vet. I got the deal here. I won. And also my wife's like, hey, that was a really nice vet office. The ladies were really nice. And they took our little kittens and like showed them to all the docs. They're super sweet to the cats and all that. My wife loved it. And so when this cat actually had another issue, like, where are we going? We're going, obviously, there's no other solution. Like, we're going to that cat, to that vet. And, lo and behold, the doc's like, yeah, there are probably some parasites. Here's some medication, give the cat some medication. The problem didn't go away. So we went back to the vet. Hey, problem's still here. And she's like, well, we may probably want to do some blood tests to make sure there's nothing else going on. And so all of a sudden I'm like, gosh darn it. I'm like, I got sucked in with the offer. And now I'm like $450 in. And the vet's probably sitting back like, yeah, I won that game. And so this is like what Sam and I talk about. It's the checkers versus chess strategy, right? Is that if you can, and the marshmallow strategy, if you can know that, okay, if you can hold on for the long run, give good experience, give great enticing offers, like that offer for the vet was enticing to us, it's a no-brainer, you're going to win in the end every single time. Right. And we don't look at that vet as like, wow, they're the cheap, low budget vet because they give away their first visit for free. It's actually the opposite. We look at that vet as the best vet in town because they provide a lot of value up front.
Right.
They're not trying to like hard sell us on their first visit of all these diagnostic tests that we might need. They played the long game and they won. And we're going to be, coming there with our pets for probably forever. We're probably never going to go to another vet unless they really mess things up.
Right. It's very funny. So I think the idea is, listen, your offer, what you're putting out to people, don't use it because you want to make money on that $47 visit, right? Think of it as, hey, this is the first step to what should be a long-term relationship with me and this patient, both in getting the current problem that they're dealing with, whatever that is, getting that resolved, right? And so your case value should be good. Like, you should charge a good amount for those case values. So that's number one. But to say that we live in a vacuum and nothing's ever going to happen to that person ever again is foolish, right? So 2, 3, 4 years down the road, when they have another whatever issue, just like Andrew. I mean, Andrew they're taking those cats to no other vet other than that one person because they know, like, and trust them. Okay. So that's the long vision. Now, I do want to set up some best practices because your suspicions about offering different things are not without merit. Okay. And here is some of the rules. So I have this formula called the qualified lead formula. Okay. And the reason that I do that was actually based off of a case study. I learned this on the fly in 2018. Facebook took some marketing that my agency was doing for a local chiropractor, and they published a case study. We didn't do it. They said, we like the way you do your marketing. We want to publish your results on our business page. And we're like, that's amazing. And what was really cool about that case study was they actually published the results, meaning how many leads they got, how many patients they got, how much, like, their growth and all that stuff. We didn't know that. Right? They have all this behind the curtains information, and they can give attribution data to, that showed us which, how effective it was and what worked. And do you want to know, we were running at the time, this was a clinic that offered acupuncture, general chiropractic, and spinal decompression. Do you want to know which offer was credited for growing 80% of that practice? It was the spinal decompression offer, which happened to offer a treatment, a price point, and then consultation, all that kind of stuff. And so that was back in 2018. And I started looking at that. I'm like, why did that work so well? This is attribution data. It's irrefutable, meaning this is not me talking to a doctor and him telling me, oh, well, this is what, no, I have actual, like, trackable data. So I was thinking, well, why did that work so well? And so I pulled the pieces apart. Okay. I'm like, well, it included treatment. It had a price point. Now, the price point was higher than the chiropractic price point. That was the interesting part. Right. So I'm like, okay, well, it had a treatment, but it was $47. That was that particular offer. Had the treatment, what is this? So I took it, and we had a knee decompression. I'm like, well, I wonder if the same thing would work for knee decompression. And so next thing you know, I took all the elements. I even take the same ad copy, put it into a knee decompression offer, and boom, it starts working, generating leads. But that's not the success, right? The success is the feedback. Hey, doc, are those turning into patients? What's happening? What's the quote lead quality? Oh no, it's working great. People seem very responsive. That's, that kind of feedback. And so we knew we had something. And over since 2018, so the last 4 years, I've developed this. I have 2 offer structures. That one I call the qualified lead formula. And that is talk to a very specific audience. Okay. So if you're speaking to a chiropractic audience, that is not specific enough. Okay. So that's number 1. Talk to a very specific audience, have a treatment included. Okay. Because the treatment is the thing. If they're currently in pain or they ebb and flow through pain, which a lot of people do, they're going to want at least that to come in and say, okay, is it worth my time? Or is this clinic just like every other clinic I've tried before? Okay. So they're going to need that treatment. And then number 3 is an appropriate, I call it price thresholding. Okay. An appropriate price point. If I were to do that same offer and say $7, all of a sudden the entire campaign would break, and everybody's suspicions about cheapening their value and their service would not work. But the second that I test a threshold where my response is qualified, and then the people who are responding are asking questions about the treatment and not about the cost, all of a sudden things start to work at the beginning of this entire marketing process. Does that make sense, Andrew?
It does. Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah. I mean, that's why you need an offer, right? Because this is answering questions that patients have. It's scratching the itches that patients have in their brain when they're trying to decide, should I come in? Is this right for me? Or should I check something else out? Or should I not do anything at all? So it's scratching all those itches and getting them to take some action and move forward. That's
right. And I think that's the broad stroke is it's not that any lead generation campaign you've previously done hasn't been hasn't merited the suspicion of this is crappy marketing. That could very well be the case. Okay. So just make sure that you fall into that qualified lead formula. You're offering something that by the way, if you offer knee decompression service to me, who I don't have knee pain, but you're doing it at a discounted price, am I going to take that? No. Why would I want that offer? I don't got any knee pain. I got better things to do. I want to go hiking, or I want to go boating, or whatever. I no interest in that. Right. So those are the types of, when you think about the offers that are being made, it's like, well, does this speak to a very specific person? And if it does, then that box can be checkmarked, right? You're good, right? Don't give it away for free. A consultation is not an offer. Nobody values a consultation. Okay. Unless maybe you're like, I don't know, doing a consultation with Warren Buffett, like that might be kind of cool. I'd take that, but the point is, most people don't have the public appearance and credibility that Warren Buffett has. Make sense?
I don't want to make this video too long, Sam, but can you address this? What if docs are thinking, okay, I do have an offer. I have an exam, x-rays, and adjustment for $80. That's an offer, right? Like that is an offer.
Right.
A common offer, right?
Right.
What is the issue when you have like an offer that's so common and so ubiquitous that it's like, what's the problem with that?
No, that's a really good, and actually that's a good example. It's okay if you charge, for your fees, what you want. Like if you've established, hey, my treatment is worth this much, that's okay after date number 1. Okay. But the problem with the inherent problem with that is
it's the new patient special.
Okay. So first of all, a title is great, but it's not the solution, right? The inherent problem is this: whose shoes are you standing in when you look at that offer? Okay.
The doctor's.
Yours. Yeah. Whose shoes matter?
The patient.
Only the patient. And so the big question is is what does the patient know? And the patient does not know that your care, your treatment is different from the joint down the street, which they can get unlimited adjustments and whatever it is. I don't actually know. I think it's like $50 a month, right? They can go do that. And they've put you in that bucket. The only way that they are ever going to see that your care is worth $80 a visit or whatever, you know, an adjustment, is after they've been there and experienced it with you. So the real question is, are you willing to extend an olive branch and educate and demonstrate your value to more people face to face? Or are you going to stand on your principles and help less people? Right? Our favorite guy, Gary Bensamega, the most important story I ever heard in marketing is the story of Captain John Raid. Right? And I'll say the story in 30 seconds because you want to know it, and then we'll cap off this interview here. Okay. Captain John Raid was an amazing captain up in the northeast, whatever of the United States. And he was surrounded back in his day, this has been the 30s, 40s, 50s, or something like that, by the most amazing fishing captains on planet Earth. I mean, the guy who inspired the captain who inspired the movie Jaws lived in that area. And if you looked at anybody in that entire area, they would say, if they were questioned, who is the captain of all captains? They would say Captain John Raid. And Captain John Raid wasn't just a captain that would go out with a net or go out with like all these long line. He was a line fisherman. He would go out with hook and reel and catch his daily limit in fish more so than anybody else. Okay. That's why so not only was he not as sophisticated as these other guys, but he was like very simple and he killed it. They knew that this was the guy. And when he retired, a reporter asked him, all right, Captain Raid, what is your secret? Like, how do you go out and limit out all the time? Why are you the best? And he sat and he thought for a minute. He said, when other fishermen go out to fish, they think like fishermen. When I go out to fish, I think like the fish. Right? Who are you looking at? Who when you look at the problem, from whose shoes are you observing that problem? If it's not your prospect, you will lose forever. As soon as you make the switch, you will win. And that's it. All right. That's a good way to end it, buddy. I appreciate you being on.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, that was awesome.
All right, buddy. Well, if you guys are watching, I'm putting down my notes here so I can hit end on this recording. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.